Hello, and welcome to Take the Black, a podcast that discusses all things fantasy and science fiction, and especially, and most importantly for our purposes tonight, all things Westeros, like Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, A Song of Ice and Fire, and, of course, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It is finale night. I am Daniel Roman, the editor of winteriscoming.net, and I'm joined, as always, by Marq Nettles of House of Nettles. Mark, how you doing?
A lot of closure today. A lot of things happened, but I'm emotionally and mentally ready to talk about some of Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, it definitely is a big week. It's kind of insane that we're six episodes deep. Like, this is the shortest season, I guess, aside from the final season of Game of Thrones, that any of these shows have had. But this one feels ironically, a lot fuller than the final season of Game of Thrones, even though the episodes were half the length. It's
I was
been
about
a
to say
journey.
shorter run time between that and the last season of Game of Thrones. But like you said, I got a complete story. I'm happy I got it, but I'm sad that it's going away until next year because they're already filming season 2, so we right around the corner.
Yeah, that's good news that we can kind of, just touch on here right at the start. So, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is over. It was a great time. I think, suffice to say, like, if you're watching this podcast or listening, we loved it. You probably loved it too. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening. And yeah, it was awesome. And like you said, they are already filming season 2. They started in December 2025. And we know HBO's already confirmed this is an annual show. They're doing it every year. So do you think that they'll come back in like early next year, like January, like they did this time?
I think so because I'm over here thinking. Of course, if they add different scenes from the novella that weren't included in it, like
Yeah.
okay, maybe it'll take a little longer. But based on if I'm just thinking about that second novella, like there's no reason it can't come out at the same time, especially with the news we heard about the other show coming out this year and
Yeah.
how early it's coming out.
Yeah, totally. And this season of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, this first one, was actually done like way earlier. Like it was supposed to come out late last year, and they pushed it to early this year to basically support HBO Max launching in Europe. So like it seems like they really get ahead with this because it's a smaller scale show. It doesn't have crazy digital effects or post-production. Like, they just get out there and they film some real stuff. They make a real tourney. There won't be a tourney in season 2. There will just be a lot of sad people in a drought. But it should be a good time.
A lot of just sad conversations. We learn a lot, and we're just like, okay.
Yeah. See, the second novella, it's The Sworn Sword. It's called. And have you ever played The Witcher 3?
No.
Okay. Well, the
Do I need
vibe.
to?
Yeah, The Witcher 3 is incredible, but the vibe to me is there's this place called Velen that is just like an abysmal swamp that people live in, and everyone's really miserable and sad there. And that's kind of the vibe of The Sworn Sword a little bit. So yeah, it should be a great fun time with egg in there mouthing off.
Yeah, I'm ready
Um,
for it.
but yeah, we will talk more about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms season 2. We'll have a whole year to talk about what is coming, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We are
Oh,
here tonight to talk about the finale for season 1, episode 6, titled The Morrow. The Trial of Seven was a big, huge action set piece. It was intermixed with a flashback, the longest flashback that has ever appeared in a Game of Thrones show. And it's kind of a new all-timer for the franchise. Like, there are those episodes you think of where it's like, Baelor from the original Game of Thrones when Ned Stark got his head cut off, the Reigns of Castamere, like these important episodes for these series, and this was one for this one. So we already broke that down. You can go watch our episode about the Trial of Seven. How did you feel about this kind of epilogue episode that we got here tonight?
it was a lot of the highs were high for the previous episode. So the whole time going through the flashback, going through the fighting, you're like, okay, everything's happening. Your adrenaline's, everything's pumping at once. You get to this episode, we get the conclusion to everything we just saw. but not the conclusion. I don't think anybody, especially if you never read the novellas and you're just showing up for the first time, you're like,
Yeah.
wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Even though they won the Prince side, what do you mean? He's supposed to be a champion, kind of a champion of the tourney, but it doesn't feel that way, and it's just a lot of people
Yeah.
having to deal with that closure of the events that just happened.
Yeah, totally. It really is kind of like a little bit of a somber ending here because
Yeah.
nobody wanted Baelor to die. Like Makar, who accidentally killed him as his own brother, like didn't want this. Dunk certainly didn't want this.
No.
And now like there's a scene with these two where Makar's like, this is gonna haunt us for the rest of our lives. Everywhere you go, anytime anything bad happens, people are gonna say it wouldn't have happened if Baelor was king, but the Hedge Knight killed him. And like Makar's maybe he's not wrong, but he's maybe projecting a little bit because it's gonna haunt him as well. But yeah, so do you think that, so obviously book readers will have a certain feeling about this, like we knew more or less what was coming, even though there is a lot of new stuff in this episode. They make a lot of interesting choices. The end of the novella is very compact. It's basically the trial happens, Baelor dies, and then it's like Dunk has the conversation with Makar. It's just one conversation in the book. And then there's the conversation with Valar Targaryen, Baelor's son. Then the one with Makar. Then Egg joins him and they leave for Dorne, and that's the end. So everything else in this episode is stuff the show added to make it a fuller episode of television. But we still kind of knew what was coming. Do you think show only watchers or people who haven't read the books, do you think this is a satisfying ending?
100%. Even everything they added, like you said, they kind of broke up that conversation between Dunk, spread it over across two conversations. It's still everything was concluded, and it just felt right for what happened to all the characters. You can really feel like, okay, that this does seem like the ending they deserve, especially just show only. I think, and you know what, I might be in the minority. I enjoyed this more than I did the novella. And I really enjoyed the novella. I love the novella. Like, hey, great, awesome. But the way they were able to flesh out all the characters, you get a little more breathing room when you're making a television show or a film for certain aspects, just for how they translate to that medium. And for what they added, I think it was terrific.
So do you feel that way for the series as a whole or this specific episode?
Series as a whole, I enjoyed some of the liberties they did take with the Hedge Knight. Including him just being able to interact with Tan. We see him being around Tansel, being a little more goofy and ridiculous. We see the conversations with Egg in episode 1 when they're looking up at the stars, and how they like strip some of these conversations that were just happening in Dunk's head, his inner monologue, and able to put them on the screen and make it a conversation between these different characters.
Yeah, totally. I hadn't really thought about which I liked more, the novella or the show, but I do think the show is kind of a masterclass in adaptation, in expanding stuff while still staying like completely true to what the novella was, to like what that story was. Like there's not a single beat from the novella, I don't think. Well, aside from that one scene that Ira Parker talked about where the small folk cheer for Dunk as he walks up that got left on the cutting room floor. But
we'll give him one. We'll give him
one. We'll give him that one. But aside from, I don't think there's really a single beat from the novella that's missing. And yeah, I think you're right. I think all the ways they expanded the show, the characters, there's a lot of stuff with Raymond Fossaway in this finale, which I loved, because like, is Raymond Fossaway the best friend anyone has ever had in Westeros? Like, maybe, like he's given Samuel Tarly a run for his money here.
I agree with you on that. He is.
Yeah. So like all that stuff is great, and it's not in the book. The stuff with Egg, we can dive into this a little bit later, but the Egg stuff in this episode, a lot of that is new as well, and I think it makes the case for Dunk taking Egg a Wandrin a lot more compelling. But let's start at the top. Breaking this down. Lionel Baratheon. The episode starts with this almost like weird, like jazz music, which it's like the other shows would never have done this, like this is a choice, like, hey guys, this is going to be a serious episode, like we know the last one was serious, but just remember, we're not trying to take things too seriously here on A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So
Mhm.
here's some music that totally does not fit, and it'll set the tone.
It fits the tone for what they're doing. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can see this music being played for this show.
Yeah. So what did you think of all the stuff with Lionel and Dunk in that first conversation?
He brought up excellent points that some of which I never considered when reading the novella, especially for the first time. Maybe some things I considered later on.
Yeah.
Just bring up the fact, like, hey, he fought for you. I wrote it down. Harding, Beesbury, and the fucking Apple Boy, they all fought for you, willing to risk their lives. Prince Baelor really risked nothing. He went into it
Yeah.
never expecting. The only person who would hit him seriously was his brother. The only person who would take the fight
Yeah.
seriously if they faced him in a fight was Prince Makar.
Yep.
So he went,
Totally.
and who's the only person that hit him? Who they showed him accidentally hitting his brother, maybe a little extra hard, but he was trying to
Yeah.
defend his son's honor, so understandable. And it really just made you think, like, okay, wow. I mean, I know he went out there in, quote unquote, to because he believed Dunk. He believed, hey,
Yeah.
you are an honorable man. What's happening to you is unjust. But did he go out there really willing to risk his life for the cause? And it's one of those questions we'll never truly get an answer for,
Yeah.
because he did end up risking his life for the cause.
Totally.
Yeah.
Ultimately he did. But yeah, I agree. I think that is uh a really interesting kind of argument to this that maybe doesn't occur right away. I didn't really think of it right away. I never thought of it with the novella. Obviously, I wrote about this with the fifth episode that dropped. I wrote an article about, did Baelor deserve what happened to him? Or like,
Mm.
this idea that he is essentially being like the one person on the field aside from Stefan Fossaway who sucks, and Arian who sucks. Baelor is the one person on Dunk's side who's kind of doing an underhanded thing. Like, he's going into this in a noble way, like, I'll fight for the Hedge Knight, but also going in knowing it means three of the people on the other team won't be able to fight in earnest the way they normally would, and it will put them at a disadvantage because the King's Guard is sworn to protect him. I think Lionel made the case for that in a way that like was surprisingly compelling. Like when he gets mad and he's like, he risked nothing, and he names Beesbury and Harding, like, who I believe both died in
In the first charge.
yeah. So like, we all risked ourselves for you. That guy even Appleboy, like you said, Raven Fossaway risked his life. Baelor did not, except he did. I thought they did some really interesting stuff with like laying the groundwork for this idea that the Targaryens are on the decline. House Baratheon is maybe particularly aware of it, and like the Fossaway side, like all these houses talk about it. But we know that eventually one of Lionel's descendants, Robert Baratheon, will take over the Iron Throne from the Targaryens. He will lead a rebellion. He will get rid of them.
They were worried about the wrong bastard branch of House Targaryen.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So I thought that was all really interesting, the way they kind of seeded that stuff. And Lionel has a line that makes me chuckle a little bit where he's like, come with me. He tries to get Dunk to come with him to Storm's End. And he's like, come with me. I'll love you like a brother, or don't, and I'll hate you like a brother. And it's like, thinking about how the brothers, the Baratheon brothers, just hated each other in the original show. But yeah, good stuff with Lionel.
Yeah.
I feel, how did you feel about the Maester stuff? I thought that was kind of hilarious. And he's like, you're a terrible Maester. Go away. He's not dying.
Why even bring the Maester? Why is his Maester so horrible at his job? The Maester's like, I don't know if he had an agenda against Dunk. He's like, well, he did kill the heir to the Iron Throne. I'm not really gonna take this seriously in treating him, but you still got to do your job as a Maester.
Totally.
Or the Maester was correct, and Lionel was just saying, because Lionel does like Dunk. Like, hey, you want to treat him like a brother? I know he can pull through because I know he's big, he's strong, and he has all that gumption inside. So I'm not worried about what the Maester was saying, but that doesn't mean he was probably 100% wrong in that in this instance.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, the opening scene starts really strong, and that's just kind of the tone of this episode. This is all people having
Mm,
conversations. There's no action here, which is kind of true to Game of Thrones. Like there would be action episodes and finales, and occasionally you'd get one like The Winds of Winter or The Children that really went ham. But
yeah.
in general, they kind of usually treated finales as almost like epilogue episodes, kind of wrapping everything up after episode the penultimate one. Um, what how did you feel about Baelor's funeral, Valar Targaryen's, kind of monologue about how many fathers have died in their son's armor? Why are you still here? And the heir to the Iron Throne is dead.
I think that's the hard thing about fate is you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how things what's needed to make everything happen, and it's it's also just the confusion of loss. Like this is a young man that just lost his father, the person
Yeah.
he looked up to, the person who was in front of him for the Iron Throne, and that he was like, okay, I'm I'm one step behind him. I'm going to have all these years to learn from someone who's been preparing all their lives, probably 40 plus years. And now all that
Yeah.
just knowledge, all that, that father figure is gone. And what's left is he has to now step up in the spot. He is now the Prince of Dragonstone, the heir to the Iron Throne. And he has to wonder, was this all supposed to happen just because some silly hedge knight didn't want to lose a hand and a foot?
Yeah, totally. And I like how this episode kind of wrangles with that. And across a
Yeah.
few different conversations. We're kind of treading almost similar ground because everybody in this episode who was affected by the Trial of Seven, primarily Dunk and the Targaryens, they're all kind of processing it. It's a little different for people like in our next scene, this very kind of it's really the only scene Valar gets like any real dialogue in
Yeah.
this show. But it's it's a standout scene. Like when I think of the finale, it's one of the first scenes that comes to mind. But that's different for someone like Raymond Fossaway. Has a much happier ending here. Who we see in the very next scene. He has married the camp follower, the prostitute Red, who's now Lady Rowan.
Yes, she
Which
did.
yeah, she told him, you got me pregnant, which like obviously there's no way to know that after one night, but like Raymond's just like, cool, I'm down to roll with that. That sounds fun.
silly,
It's gonna be
silly
a boy.
Lord. He doesn't know any better.
Yeah. Um, so obviously Raymond, the green apple Fossaways, that is a thing from the lore of Westeros, that the Fossaways, there's the red Fossaways and the green Fossaways. This is where that starts. All the stuff
Yes.
with Red and Rowan is new for the show. What did you think of this whole scene with Raymond?
I'll start with I just appreciated Raymond going up to that man and just giving him a hug and not letting
Yes.
go because they fought together. Like, what was this epic war with 2,000 people on each side? No, but it was a 7v7, and Raymond was willing to die for Dunk.
Yeah.
He went to that fight. A squire left a battle tested knight.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Totally. The hug too. I was like, wow, yeah, when they did that because there's like I feel like there's an emotional intelligence to this show that
Mm,
the writers are just really good at capturing, like making the characters feel like real people. Like
yeah.
Raymond he's been broing down with Dunk this whole time. They just went through this traumatic thing together, and like you said, he risked his life for him, and like he's just gonna give him a hug. Like Dunk feels like crap. He's wondering if he got the heir to the Iron Throne killed. Like nothing Raymond says is really gonna fix that. So like, come here, big guy. Like I'll give you a hug.
I got you.
I got
Hand me my
you.
wife.
Yeah, totally. Um, but yeah, so all the stuff with Raymond, I thought was a really nice addition. I like Sean Thomas, the actor who plays Raymond.
Mm.
I think the actress who plays Lady Rowan, who I forget her name, her actual name is Rowan. I forget her last
Oh,
name. Um, I thought she was kind of another nice standout character for the series because the Hedge Knight on Tansel is the only female character in the Hedge Knight, and I
mm.
think that Rowan added a lot to the series.
Yeah, that was definitely a smart addition by them.
Yeah,
We gotta add some diversify the cast. I think that it's going to be a similar issue
yeah,
with the next season, so hopefully they're able to figure that out a little bit.
totally.
Um, but just and even her mini arc of going from a camp follower to the lady of a potential new branch family of a house is a crazy rise. Now, do you think that baby is gonna definitely come out with red hair? Because she has red hair, and I can only assume there's a possibility that father is Manfred Dondarrion, his biological father at least.
Oh, you think there's actually? I don't think she's pregnant. I think she just went with that to to shack up with Raymond. I don't think she's pregnant at the end of the show.
Oh,
I
see,
think she.
I thought there was a slim chance, and if there was, she was that baby was definitely gonna have red hair, just like Manfred Dondarrion really wanted to. So we'll see. We'll see if they show us the results.
You know what? If that happened, I bet Raymond Fossaway would love him like his own son anyway, because he's that good a dude.
Yeah, that's gonna be his son regardless. Nobody's gonna know except for her.
Yeah, heir to the cidery.
Yeah.
but yeah, so all of that stuff I really enjoyed. And then Dunk doesn't really get a moment to rest on his laurels here, because Makar's men come and get him. And then we kind of enter into the meat of the episode, which is Dunk and Makar kind of going back and forth with this conversation of the tragedy of Baelor's death and how it's going to follow both of them. And Makar asking Dunk if he'll take Aegon as a squire. I think this first scene with Dunk and Makar might be my favorite scene of the episode. I think Makar is kind of like the low-key MVP of this episode for me, because Sam Spruill just did such a really, really good job with these scenes. How did you feel?
Oh, what you about to say?
I was just going to ask what you thought of this scene with Makar, and also about the decision to split this up. Have Dunk say, no, I'm done with princes at first.
Yeah, you can. And like you said, he did an excellent job. The actor that portrayed Prince Makar, you can tell that, like, wow, it's not like he was trying to make a play for the throne. I'm going to go out there and kill my brother. Like, no, they were just trying to settle this crazy beef that really got out of hand in this trial by 7. And you can tell that it's really affected him. He's like, wow, like try to comprehend that everyone in the realm is going to blame me for this. Everyone's going to think not everyone, but a lot of people are going to think he did it on purpose. Trying to make a play. And how do you think that, how that affects him in dealing with how like the rest of Westeros is going to like portray that?
I mean, I think it Makar is kind of like the tragic figure to me of this series, this season, but also just kind of this time period. He's a tragic figure because, this is very different than like House of the Dragon, where Aemond tries to coup Aegon over Rook's Rest and burns him because he wants the Iron Throne. And the show made that less ambiguous. The book is just like Aegon was wounded. We don't really know why or how. That felt like, a power play. This, I know the actor has said that they kind of played it in a few different ways in terms of, was there any part of him that really wanted to hurt Baelor instead of it being a complete accident? But I never really read it that way, either in the book or the show. Like, it just seems like a tragic accident. And like, Makar loved his older brother. Like, these two have a lot of history. Like the Blackfire Rebellion, which we saw the end of in the flashback for Dunk, that's like 13 years before this tourney. Makar and Baelor were some of the ones responsible for ending that rebellion, working together. So like, they've been, brothers all their lives. They've been fighting together for decades. Like, and then here we are, like, Makar accidentally killed him. I think it is definitely gonna change his life for the sadder. I know that he's like the Prince of Summerhall. He's not Dragonstone because he's not the eldest heir of Daeron the Good. He's the youngest. So Makar is also not next in line for the throne. I think that's a difference here too. Even though he accidentally killed Baelor, he's still pretty far from the Iron Throne. He's the fourth son. He is not like I mean, kind of a long game spoiler here. When Daeron the good dies, Maekar is not the next king. So like, there's still stuff that has to happen. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely going to affect how the people of Westeros see him, but I don't know if it will be worse for him than how it affects how he sees himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was already probably especially in the novella, a grumpy man. This is
Yeah,
definitely not going to help that in any way. And after all this that happened, like I don't blame Dunk for initially saying, "I don't want to I don't want any princess around me. I don't want to be a part of the great game that's going
yeah,
on." Like he wasn't built to do all that. He doesn't have any training for all that. And it was kind of cool to see Prince Makar offer Dunk like, "Hey, come to Summer Hall. You can train Dunk, and I'll have my master at arms train you to finish the training that Sir Arlen started." Because of course, Sir Arlen taught him the best that he could, but he was no master swordsman or a
yeah.
master in arms at anything. So Dunk still has a lot to learn, as we see how easily he got knocked off his horse in that initial joust.
Yep. Yep, totally. And we also learn in this scene that Arion is getting sent across the narrow sea for a few years. Because Maekar, regardless of the fact that it was Maekar who killed Baelor, Arion caused it.
Yeah.
He stirred all the problems. They all come back to him. He made this issue that got the heir to the Iron Throne killed. So he is now basically in exile for a few years. He comes back in the world of Ice and Fire, like the overall lore. We haven't seen him again in the Duncan Egg novellas, so I don't know how the show, if and when it will handle that. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in this scene. I also really love that they had Dunk's line about wondering if he could have spared a hand or a foot. This question of why are you still here? And he's like, I wondered, could I have spared that foot? And
Mhm.
Makar's like, well, what answer? You thought about this under your elm tree. Like, what answer did it give you? And he's like, maybe one day I'll need that foot more than the realm needed Baylor. Like, maybe the realm will need that foot. And it's like, like what a simple hedge knight answer, but also like he is right. Like the realm will one day need Dunk to have both his feet. Um,
The Seven Kingdoms need Sir Duncan the Tall to be all the tallness, so he's going to need both feet, two hands,
yeah,
and have a head thick as a castle wall.
that's right. That's right. And so Egg overhears this meeting. Um,
Mm.
I don't really remember. They didn't really have too much dialogue, Dunk and Egg, in this next scene, but it is sad to see the distance between the Egg's got his little sadness beret on. Um, he's in his dark Targaryen colors. Um, I guess the next scene, I don't know if you have thoughts on that because they kind of are just like, "Can I come with you?" He's like, "No."
Yeah, it was more of like a separated, like, "Hey
Yeah,
kid, you got to go your way, I got to go my way as a hedge knight. Like this isn't the
yeah.
life for you."
Yeah, which again, this is they're adding some extra bits of tension that I think worked because otherwise this finale is three conversations and credits.
Mm.
So the next scene we gotta talk about is that makes Dunk think about Sir Arlen and this moment where he said, "Why didn't you ever knight me?" to Sir Arlen, and Sir Arlen's telling a story, and then it seems like he died.
Yeah,
Uh, and he's sitting under this tree, which is the tree that we saw Dunk bury him beside at the beginning of the show. And it seems like he died. And then he wakes up and he's like, a true knight always finishes a story. And then it cuts back to the present. What are your thoughts on this? Like, do you think,
I I think
yeah,
it was they did a great job keeping it ambiguous because in the
yes,
novellas we don't know if Sir Arlen of Pennytree really knighted Dunk, and for a split
yes,
second I'm like, oh my goodness, they're finna confirm that Sir Arlen never knighted him. There's not a chance he did. Then he pops back up, which is a phenomenon that happens when people do meet the end of their life. They get that last burst of energy, and that could have been what we were seeing in that scene. He got that last burst. He got to finish his story, whatever it
yeah,
was. So I'm happy for that. But it still begs the question: did Sir Arlen really not really knight Dunk? And if not, I know they made him Dunk a little older in in
Yeah.
the TV show compared to the novella. So it's like, hey, why'd you wait so late to knight me? When asking
Yeah.
him in the TV show, and I think it's good we never get an answer to that.
I
And
agree.
yeah, I enjoyed that we still never have the answer to was he knighted? Was he? Doesn't matter if you do live by the true vows of knighthood.
Totally. I almost feel like this scene was trolling the hardcore book fans a little bit because like the fandom of these Game of Thrones shows, like they can be a passionate lot. Like we can be a passionate lot with the details, the little details. And it has been a long-standing question. Did Sir Arlen actually knight Dunk? There are some hints in the novella that he maybe didn't. That Dunk has one monstrous lie he has told in an otherwise honorable life, and essentially that lie is probably that Sir Arlen didn't knight him before he died. I had the same reaction when this scene started. I was like, oh my god, they're confirming this. I can't believe they're doing it. And then it's like one last joke, and then we move on. On my second watch, because I've seen this episode a couple times now, I did wonder if, these are all Dunk's memories. They're all Dunk's recollections of things. And I almost wondered if that final bit of Sir Arlen being like a true knight finishes a story, if that's actually happens. Like I almost wondered if that was like if Sir Arlen did die then, and because from that scene, Dunk then goes, and it's the beginning of his resolve to go back to Maekar. There are a few more bits that happen before that, but like that's where it starts. Is that memory leading into a conversation with Darren in the tent for the Beesbury funeral. So yeah, do you think, man, yeah, do you think that this scene, do you think they should have confirmed it? Do you think
No, no,
leaving
no.
it
We
ambiguous was the right
definitely didn't.
choice?
We definitely didn't need to confirm it. And that's an interesting thought on if it. And I guess it begs the question: if that could be fake, could he had misremembered certain other memories that we got, certain other flashbacks? Maybe something was a miss. If it's possible that that flashback maybe it's just a little extra flash. He did take a hard hit to the head.
Yeah.
You're misremembering a couple of details.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like not necessarily that he's an unreliable narrator. Like I don't think that's necessarily the case, but like was that final bit just because he pops back up and he's like True Knight finishes the story like as we're finishing the story. Like it's all very convenient.
Hey, he's a true knight of the realm, Sir Arlen of Penetry.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, so from there we get this little Beesbury funeral, which pretty fun. It's a coffin with a bunch of bees on it.
Sad we lost. Was it Humphrey? Was it Humphrey Beesbury? No, Harding. No,
Humphrey Beesbury. Yeah, Humphrey Harding and Humphrey Beesbury.
A lot of Humphreys.
Yeah.
It was cool seeing. Sorry that he didn't make it, but like, oh, that's a cool way to go out, surrounded by bees. Probably what he grew up around at their castle. So definitely cool to see. And I know that kind of goes into us seeing Prince Daron the drunkard over there calling for more wine, and that definitely got Dunk to be definitely upset because like, why are you here? You're part of the reason that this man is dead. Your lie helped cause this man cost him his life.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Both Dunk and Darren in this episode go to a funeral where they're probably not really wanted. Because Dunk goes to Baylor's, and when he leaves, Raymond is like, I can't believe you actually went. Like, and Dunk is like, well, I feel like I owed it to him. And then Darren goes to Beesbury's, and Darren is primarily there to talk to Dunk, but Dunk doesn't give him the same grace that he wanted from the Targaryens to be allowed to be at their funeral. He's like, what are you doing here? And essentially Darren is there to ask Dunk to take Egan. And really great acting from Henry Ashton, who this show is so good at giving characters and actors not a lot of scenes. People like Darren had really like 3 scenes, dialogue scenes in the whole show, maybe 4 if you count the beginning one and the end. Valar Targaryen had basically this one scene. Maekar's got a handful. but they just make the most of them in such a way that it really makes the characters pop. Um, but yeah, so Daeron asks him to take in Egg, and kind of, we danced around this earlier in the season, like talking about Arian, and is there any redeeming qualities to Arian? Or I almost felt bad for him in a way I never ever did in the book. And they
Yeah.
leaned into that here in the finale a little bit. What did you think of that
It,
choice?
they did a good job asking us, is it nature or nurture? Because he's like, hey,
Yeah.
my Arian wasn't always a horrible, vain person. Like he was a good kid. What did he say? He liked to fish.
Yeah, he was a glad child. Yeah, or something like
Yeah,
that. He liked to fish. Yeah.
and you
And
never think about it. Like, is it because was he always going to grow up to be mean no matter what the circumstances? Like, if he was a apple farmer, was he going to be mean? If he's a prince of the realm, was he going to be mean? Or was it just the nature of growing up around power, always having to you have to act a certain way at all times. You have to be a certain way. You have to project a certain amount of status. And you see these other people in front of you. It's like, I'm at the top, but for some reason there are people above me, and you're telling me I can never get as high as, technically he's forming another, he's coming off the main branch of House Targaryen, but at this point he's, kind of a side branch.
yeah. Yeah, totally. I think the nature versus nurture, that's always the sort of thing that A Song of Ice and Fire has done pretty well. And I think it didn't really, this novella was written before A Clash of Kings, like very early in George's writing of all of this stuff. And Arian doesn't really have any of those questions posed about him. It's just not really relevant for this story. But I think it's really to the show's benefit that it asks this question. It says, Arian was not always monstrous. We've seen what he turned into. You've seen what I turned into. I'm drunk all the time, Daeron. Egg could be different if he gets the chance. And that's enough to send Dunk back. And we see in another added scene right before that, that man, did Dunk arrive at a good time, because Egg Egg so his hair is starting to grow back. He's got the very beginning of Targaryen tips, and he tries to murder his brother Arian in his bed, and his dad catches him doing it.
Mhm.
Heartbreaking scene. Like, what did you think of the decision to have that? What did you think of the way that played? Like, chills thinking about it.
You can only imagine what was going in that young man's head. Uh,
Yeah.
I can
He's a
see it.
9-year-old.
9-year old, and you're like, wow, a lot of this, what is this my fault? Did I cause my uncle to die? Did I cause these other men to die based on, his lie? A mission of truth is still a lie. How do you make amends for it? Does he need to become a kinslayer? My father, everyone thinks he's a kinslayer now. If I can become a kinslayer just one time to try to make everything right, this will
Oh,
fix the problem.
yeah.
And like, so to think about the leaps and bounds in his head to get to that conclusion, to enter the room, he went in there to murder his brother. Would he have done it? Wouldn't he have done it? Thankfully, we'll never know the answer, because his father, like you said, his father was there to put his hand around his son and be like, "Hey, man, I'm here for you. Let's figure this out."
Yeah, I thought Makar's reaction again, like he's so tragic to me, because he's not a maybe wasn't a good father to Arian and Daeron, but it's obvious he cares about his kids. Like,
Yeah.
he's not just indifferent to their suffering. Like, he wishes things could be different, but he's almost incapable of providing that for them. But in that moment, he sees Egg sees him, and all he does is just put his hands on his shoulder. Like, it's just such an honest moment of like a parent and their kid, and like amazing acting from both Sam
Mhm.
Spruill and Dexter Soul Ansel, just leaning against him, like crying, like, ah, man. And then
Yeah,
Dunk shows up.
yeah. I want to ask, what do you think? I guess I'm trying to think, like what could Prince Makar be thinking in that situation? Like, is there something he could have done differently with his sons? And we see the conversation he has with Sir Duncan the Tall. The next scene of like, hey,
Yeah.
that's my last son. And does he see this as an opportunity? Like, hey, this is my last chance to make a good young man to help serve the realm. I failed with my first son. I failed with the second son. I shut my third son away. Uh, is this the last chance to truly make somebody worthy to be my heir?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the heart of this episode, and it's the heart of the end of the novella. You know,
Mm,
this and Makar, I think, has even a little more agency in the novella, which we'll talk about the ending in a few minutes. But yeah, I do think that's the heart of this. You know, that next scene, Dunk talks to him. He says, "I'll take Egg, but I won't take him to Summer Hall. Like, I need to take him on the road with me to learn how to be a squire the way I learned how to be a squire, because that's the only way I know how to teach him." And
mm,
Makar's like, he's the blood of the dragon. He can't be, you know, sleeping in ditches and stuff like that and eating hard salt beef. And Dunk is like, well, this is a line straight from the book. Arian, I bet Darren never slept in ditches, and Arian's meat was always bloody and raw or something. And
yeah,
it's, you know, that's him throwing it right back to Makar. Like, yes, you want the best for Egg, but like, look at how your other two sons turned out. And I think we see how painfully aware Makar is of that more in the show
yeah,
through those earlier scenes where like he knows Arian is a monster, is a mess who just got Makar's own brother killed,
yeah,
accidentally made Makar a kinslayer, trying to protect him. And Daron, who's a drunk whose lies started all these problems, you know, who Darren has his own demons. It's interesting because like Darren has his own demons. Aemon is not a bad person, Maester Aemon, who we see from Game of Thrones, but he's a Maester. He can never be like an heir to House Targaryen the way Maekar needs one. So yeah, I think this idea that Egg is his last chance to make a decent son is
mm.
totally at the heart of this. Like, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I mean, and it, and of course, only one of us has a child to speak to that, but that has to be that has to be something emotional. Be like to admit that I did something that possibly failed my kid. Is it nurture? Is it nature? I'm not 100% sure. All I can do is reflect on how I raised them, what opportunities I provided for them. Was it? Did I do the right thing? What influences made them that way? Like, because like when you're raising kids, like when do you realize like, oh, okay, this one's not going to be how I thought they were. Of course your kid's not a direct reflection of you, but to see them deviate in a way that you never even considered. Like first one's a complete drunkard, I can only imagine how he was growing up, or when that vice started. And
Yeah.
for your second son to be so just mean all the time,
Yeah.
that must really make you reflect on your on fatherhood.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've not had as many years and mistakes as Makar to be able to speak to it too well. But I could totally imagine, you know, like the weight of that, the weight of wondering, like, oh my God, did I mess my kids up? And I think Makar doesn't have the luxury of just wondering. He has to see each of them mess up at this tourney. You know, we see Darren as a total drunken mess who lost Egg. We see Arian murdering a horse, then causing all these problems, being so petty and taking advantage of his station to try to get one over on Dunk, who's just a, you know, a simple hedge knight who Makar knows is not duplicitous in any way. Like Makar can read the room, like he
Yeah.
sees what Dunk is. And then Egg, who, you know, I think that final scene with Makar and Egg of Egg trying to kill Arian really brings it home for him, where it's he can't avoid the fact that this is the path Egg is on if he stays with his family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, in the scene with Dunk, it seems like Makar refuses him. He leaves. He kind of just has a stern answer of, you know, this he can't be doing this stuff, and he leaves. Um, then we move into kind of the final bit of the episode where Dunk, you know, he's reunited with Raymond one more time. Raymond tried to bring Sweetfoot, and then Dunk gives him Sweetfoot to go live at the cidery, which is I thought was really sweet. Uh,
Yeah, I'm happy we got to see Raymond and see Sweetfoot one more time because in the novella they sell Sweetfoot, they're gone, they're not back in the story. So I'm happy Sweetfoot
yeah,
got a little more shine, at least one more.
Yeah, totally. I like that too. I thought that was a nice touch. And Raymond's like, "You like apples?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, Sweetfoot's gonna be fine. I love this." Um, but then Egg shows up and is like, "I'll come with you." Dunk decides he's not going to Storm's End with Lionel. Egg says, "My father sent me to serve you." Then they leave, and we get, one more fun bit of banter for the road. Because Dunk's like, "We could go anywhere in the Seven Kingdoms," and Egg is like, "Nine kingdoms." Uh, Obviously, so this is a real thing. There are nine kingdoms, like that's true. I feel like they've never really talked about it this way in the show. What do you think?
I think at the time at the
Yes,
time of Aegon's conquest, there were seven kingdoms.
absolutely. Yeah.
So he took the title as I'm the ruler leader of all the seven kingdoms. So
Yep.
that's where the title comes from. Are there nine kingdoms? Yes, there are nine kingdoms now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of fun to remember, like, so like deep cut stuff. Dorne, Egg is like, "I've never been to Dorne," and Dorne was only officially made part of the Seven Kingdoms in Egg's grandfather's time. The current king, Daeron the Good, is the one who finally brought Dorne into the fold. So, like, when he's saying he's never been there, it's like, well, yeah, it wasn't, easily travelable for a Seven Kingdoms person until very recently. In Egg's lifetime, essentially. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a fun little bit there. They changed the title card at the end. It's one last time of Duncan Egg kind of being like, banter for the road.
Yeah, keep it at seven. We want another nine up
Yeah,
there.
doesn't have the same ring. But we end with kind of the exact same line from the book of, "I hear they have good puppet shows in Dorne." The illusion is they're going to go looking for Tansel in Dorne.
Yes.
They set off on the road, and we get this really beautiful little outro of Sir Arlen riding beside them and then going off into the hedges on his own.
Mm.
Um, how
He
did you feel about that our final moments with Duncan Egg and Sir Arlen here?
I think he helped raise a very good squire that turned into an honorable knight, and I love that scene because you see Dunk just turn his head one time to look at Sir Arlen as he walks away. Even though
Yeah,
obviously he's not there, so it was a good send off, and to kind of show that okay, uh, Dunk's on his own adventure now. He's his officially kind of like officially his own knight because
totally.
they were originally both going to Asteroid Meadow. Now he's like, hey, I'm a choose my own adventure type of situation.
Yeah, totally. And it's almost too like, Sir Arlen raised Dunk, and Dunk is about to essentially raise Egg.
Yeah,
So, in a way, the teachings of Sir Arlen, this hedge knight who lived a very long time doing it. So obviously, Sir Arlen was good at being a hedge knight, whatever that means
good at
as a
surviving.
knight, good at surviving as a hedge knight, he in his own small honorable ways, and he raised Dunk into a very honorable, young man. So it's almost like Arlen is also passing on his teachings to Egg, who will eventually, like, again, this is like such deep spoilers that I don't think it really matters. Egg will eventually become king way after the books. This is not in the books, so that's why I feel like it doesn't really matter to say it.
Yeah, it's in a world of ice and fire, but
Yeah,
that's a lot of history.
that is literally an encyclopedia, an entertaining one,
Yeah.
but an encyclopedia. So yeah, that I beautiful outro, and then we get one final scene
One more scene.
that honestly I've been really torn about. So the last scene is Maekar Targaryen being like, "Where is Aegon?" and realizing Egg just left. So it's saying here Egg didn't have permission to go with Dunk and he just went. Which, one last funny thing for the road, I guess. But like that, I'm really torn about this because that's, the whole point of the end of the novella is Maekar making this decision to let Egg go. So here, like, Maekar is not doing that. Egg's just going. What did you think about this?
Like you just said, I thought it was funny. I'm like, that's a last funny thing. Like,
Yeah,
like it was good timing. I'm like, I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, this kid really left without telling his dad.
yeah,
But it does, it does take away from, Makar reflecting at his own decisions and saying like, "Hey, I want my son to go with you," making that choice. And maybe he would have came around, maybe he was thinking about it and they never really got to make a decision. I guess if you think Dunk is going to end up at Storm's End, you could easily be like, all right, you can go there in a year or two and squire for him. But now they're just off on an adventure and there's no cell phones to call him up on.
Yeah,
So you just hope he sends you a letter every once in a while. Send you a
totally.
raven.
I seem to recall there being a point where they talk about that they did stop at Summer Hall. So I kind of like just to visit.
Mm.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but I kind of wonder if they'll kind of almost retcon that early next season where like Egg told Dunk he left, or they sent a raven from, visiting Aemon and in Old Town because they do stop there on their way to Dorne. And then Dunk's like, all right, we need to like actually get your father's permission or something like that. And then at that point, Makar's like, whatever. He already went with you and he's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does like undermine like the important choice that Makar has to make here at the end of the story. Just a hair, but it does it for laughs, which
Yeah.
is, that's the MO of this show. It's happy to take a dump on the Game of Thrones theme song if it means that we will know we're having a good time.
Oh yeah, I like to think maybe they send a raven at the end of every adventure, so he kind of knows
Nice.
where they are, but not where they're at that moment.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that is, that's a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, episode 6. Do you have We have run super long on this because there was just a lot to talk about. We do have other things to touch on, at least briefly, in this
Yeah.
episode. Do you have anything else you want to say about the finale, the season as a whole? Your thoughts?
Like I said with the first episode, we recorded for this season. It was just a great exploration on what knighthood truly means. What does it mean to uphold the vows of knighthood, and are you willing to go against the grain, like Dunk was like, hey, I'm not going to let so just because you're from the noble house doesn't mean you can do whatever you want, and he was willing to stand up for that. And we saw what happened, the repercussions that happened after that, but standing up for what you believe in. So I think it was a great story. I can't. It has me super excited for the next project, the next season, and I can't wait. How about you? How'd you feel about the season overall?
Um, I mean, I loved it. I thought this was such a fun, like the hardcore Song of Ice and Fire fan in me loved this because it's a really faithful adaptation of this story, but also like it's just so refreshing to like be back in Westeros, but like the most fun version of it possible, where it's still like edgy, it's still dark, it's still intense, still amazing performances and stunts and all the things you love from Game of Thrones, but like it's just got a heartwarming quality to it. Like you said, it's about what does it mean to be a knight, and just like this, it's like a lone wolf and cub sort of dynamic with Dunk and Egg, where Dunk is teaching him how to be honorable and knowing that he will one day be king. It's like this is a kid who needs that lesson. He
Yes.
needs the lessons that this peasant hedge knight has to teach him. So yeah, I mean, I thought the cast was amazing. I thought I love the set that they did for this. Like they just found a meadow somewhere in North Ireland and they filmed a lot of this stuff there. Most of this I believe was filmed in Northern Ireland, if not all of it. So I feel like they had wonderful settings. The costuming was incredible. Like the tourney armor. So like I've seen a lot of
Oh,
people crapping on like House of the Dragons armor and be like, why can't that armor look as good as this show with the much smaller budget? And to some extent, that's fair because I do think A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms really crushed it in the costuming department. But also, like these people be wearing tourney armor, so like it is specifically meant to be kind of flamboyant and ridiculous and like have little things on it that you wouldn't typically wear into a battle.
yeah,
And
you probably should wear an antlered helm into a real,
no,
at least a big one.
yeah, even though I think the classic Robert Baratheon artwork of the Trident battle with Rhaegar Targaryen. I think he does have it, but
He
you're
does
right.
have
You're
it.
right. That's the sort of thing George R. R. Martin would write in a book. Like someone would grab the stupid thing on your helmet. Um, but yeah, I thought, this show really knocked it out of the park. I think it kind of res- House of the Dragon is so heavy, and like it's hard not to compare because they're the two prequels on right now for Game of Thrones, and that one is just a Shakespearean tragedy. Like that is the sort of show that is. So this is like the exact opposite, and I
Yeah.
think it worked so well for it, and it's nice that it's yearly, and I think Dunk and Egg, those actors have great chemistry. So yeah, it's man, what a way to kick off the year for fantasy TV.
Yeah. And we got a little teaser for the fantasy coming up on HBO. So yay to that.
Yeah. So I know we are pushing an hour here, but let's at least talk a little bit about. We don't need to talk about the Game of Thrones stage play. We'll at least mention it, unless you want to, because we didn't plan for that.
Yeah.
We'll just mention that's a thing. Go to winteriscoming.net. There are articles about it. Game of Thrones, The Mad King. It's going to be in the UK over, I think, the summer. Tickets go on sale in April. It's about Robert's Rebellion. That was announced yesterday, the same day that we found out House of the Dragon season 3 is coming in June. Earlier than I thought. Is that earlier than you thought, or did you expect it that
no,
early?
I was thinking, hey, early August, maybe mid-August they'll started. It's got me secretly hoping, it's gonna release something book-wise later?
No, right? Like between Night of the Seven Kingdoms, House of the Dragon coming a little early, the stage play that's been in development for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, are we gonna get, new Dunk and Egg or Wins? Like, what
It
are we
feels like
doing
something's
here?
happening. I don't know what it is, but I think everybody has a little more energy in their stuff.
Exactly. So yeah, there was a poster announcing the release month for House of the Dragon season 3 that went up yesterday, and yesterday as we record this, we're recording this on a Thursday, and then today, or 3 days in the past from when you're watching this on Sunday, the first teaser trailer for House of the Dragon came out for season 3, and yeah, it's teasing some dark times ahead.
It's not gonna be a fun time. I think if we learn
No.
anything, there is no fun happening in House of the Dragon.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Did any particular thing stand out to you from this? Anything you want to talk about from this teaser here at the end of the show?
I like how they jumped right in, because it seems like it's picking up right where we left off at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
And just having both sides, well, especially on Rhaenyra's side, saying, "Do you really trust Alicent? Do you? Because why would you? There's nothing in the world that says to trust her, that she's going to sacrifice her 3 sons to you for this crazy plan." Probably one of the best standouts for the episode. We didn't see the character, but we saw the dragon to Sarion.
Yes.
And
that's Daeron's dragon, Alicent's youngest son.
Yes, who only got like 1 mention over 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So we're finally possibly gonna see him in action. That really got me excited. Hopefully we get some other characters. I doubt it, but I still have hope for maybe Nettles will show up someday.
Oh God, I feel like they've cut Nettles, but it still makes me mad.
But I'm so stoked for that, and just seeing all the battles happening in the background. I was trying to guess where Vhagar was burning a lot of knights. I can assume. I don't know if we want to talk about.
I think we can. So what I thought that was Vhagar burning the garrison at Harrenhal. I think we could talk about what we think the things are in the teaser. Like, we haven't seen these episodes or anything. They're not screeners for this yet. We're just reading tea leaves here based on having read Fire and Blood. That's what I thought that was. And yeah, so it does look like it picks up right after the Battle of the Gullet. It is the big ship battle that's coming that we know that it sounds like is probably going to be in the first episode, and we see it in a bunch of the shots of this.
Yeah, dragons fighting over water. What a sight.
Yeah, totally. The director of that episode, Lonnie Perister, basically said that the start of season 3 is what was supposed to be the finale of season 2. So yeah, that should mean we're diving right in. I totally agree with you. Tessarion, was one of the things that I clocked to. I was like, that's cool. Tessarian's like a really beautiful blue dragon. If you watch the teaser, and you will see Tessarian. I also noticed that it looks like Bela is at the gullet.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Looks like she's out there fighting on the gullet, all hands on deck.
yeah,
We saw the Lannister. He has that fleet. Was it Jason Lannister?
I
I think
think so. Yeah,
one of the Lannister twins. He has that
yeah, yeah.
fleet. They are coming. Uh, it's gonna be a showdown. I can't wait to see how we see this naval battle with dragons included unfold.
Yeah, totally. And some other cool stuff. Kristen Cole tracking a dragon in the Riverlands,
Mhm.
probably Caraxes. There's a whole storyline of Kristen trying to find Damon, and Aemond trying to track down Damon, and then it flips and they're trying to track down Aemond, and it's yeah. So they're gonna do some stuff with that, it seems like. And then of course, the big question is, will Rhaenyra sit the Iron Throne? The poster for this is Rhaenyra on the Iron Throne. And then even if she did, would she be able to keep it? So that is, it's not going to be an easy season for Rhaenyra. I'm hoping they lean hard into her being paranoid and awful and turning people against her, because that's
Mhm.
kind of what her arc is in the book. And I've been worried that they don't have the guts to do it, to really commit to it.
Yeah, it's okay to let her, be frustrated and let that frustration show on screen. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna believe in them. I'm gonna believe that they're gonna do that because I got to. I have to
Yeah.
believe.
Totally. Hopefully, Alicent betrays her and then she gets real evil. Because yeah, the one thing that I did groan a little with this trailer is just that it started with the, you know, Rhaenyra being like, Alicent will open the gates for us. Just because that's like one of the things I liked least from the season finale was the Rhaenyra and Alicent meeting, where Alicent's like, yeah, you can have my son. I'll open the gates for you. We did get a brief shot of Aegon in this too. Aegon and Laris just walking through the woods.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because he shattered one leg and had half his skin burnt off, and it's been like 3 weeks. I guess that dragon blood, it helps you heal pretty quick.
Yeah, I hope that the Aegon stuff, and watch, it's going to be in the premiere or something, but I would hope that it's like a few episodes in. So, we've got the gullet, we've got all this stuff. We can leave Aegon off screen for a few episodes,
Yes.
and I don't think it would hurt anything. I think it would only help.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but yeah, we got a look at Ormond Hightower. That is, I think, Otto's nephew.
Yes.
Um,
Is he the new Lord? Oh, no, this is his nephew. Yeah,
I think
some battles need to happen.
yeah, they've changed around the structure of House Hightower a little bit in the show. There's like an extra uncle or brother in there for Otto, I think, in the book, that changes who's the lord of um House Hightower at this time. But yeah, Ormond is the main Hightower person we're gonna see,
Yeah.
who's leading the Hightower army. That's where Tessarion is with Alicent's son Daeron. Not Daeron the Drunken, different Daeron.
A lot of
A
day runs.
lot of Daerons. But yeah, so a lot of really cool stuff in this trailer. I am cautiously optimistic, and it's coming in June. So we know that we're going to be watching more Westeros in a few short months.
Yes.
Summer is coming, I guess.
Summer
Something
is
like
coming.
that.
Yay. More
Um,
hot D. Yes.
yes. Anything else you want to touch on for this trailer before we call it a wrap on this exceptionally long episode of Take the Black?
um, Great trailer to get us all excited. I'm ready to see these dragons fighting and see if they continue certain storylines or how they maybe change a few things that maybe some people may have griped about to,
Yeah.
keep this story flowing and have that satisfying conclusion. But I'm ready for it.
Yeah, totally. I'm here for this. I'm curious what they're going to change, what they're going to keep. There are a few storylines I'll be really sad if they cut. There are a few that I think they probably could flesh out and change a little bit. There's some interesting things they seeded in season 2 where I'm like, I hope they do more with that. So yeah, we will see come June how House of the Dragon handles it. But until then, we can just rewatch Night of the Seven Kingdoms and reflect on this journey we just got through. What a good time.
Like the plan.
Yeah. But this has been Take the Black. This is our last Night of the Seven Kingdoms breakdown episode for the moment. Keep an eye on this YouTube channel, or wherever you're listening to us. Like and subscribe. And we will be back with more episodes now that the show is done. And yeah, it's been a blast. Mark, have really loved breaking this down with you.
Yes, I've had a blast doing it. Hopefully, we can keep breaking down every show that ever comes out ever. But yeah, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, totally. So for all of you out there, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, follow along, and may your travels and journeys be as fun as Dunkin' Eggs. We'll catch you next time.